right. So welcome everybody to general member training. This is a training hosted by myself and Julia. And we have
a special guest. So I was just gonna sit in here.
Yes, we have
Renee.
we have our 7B LTG
crew.
Yeah. So she's just gonna hang out with us. But anyways, welcome to general member training. This is just kind of to help you figure out what you need to do as a general member, and hopefully this is informative for y'all. So yeah, all right, first we're going to do a little meet your presenters. So you guys probably know me by now, but I'm Zhenya Ratushko and I'm the district governor for this term. If you wanted to give me a follow over on Instagram, you can follow me. My handle is @MinnDak governor, and I'm always looking for that clout, so I really appreciate it. And then if you ever have any questions for me, you can always DM me on Instagram, or you can email me at gov@mindakkeyclub.org. So this picture of me is when I attended the summer leadership conference earlier this summer. If you were at the How to Get a Date roundtable, I kind of talked a bit about it, but I was able to attend this conference in person and it was super fun. So this is just kind of me standing at the podium that our immediate past international president, Alex Dreyhos, was speaking at. So that was very fun for me.
Hi, I'm Julia Matthews. I am the Division 5 Lieutenant Governor. Division 5 is like Eastern South Dakota, so I'm in charge of 5 clubs there. I'm from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, though. That's about 30 minutes from the Twin Cities, just for a general reference. As Zhenya said, we are always open for questions, so my contact information is down below. That picture is of me with my car. I love my car, so if you have any questions about my car, feel free to ask me them because I love talking about my car.
Nice car.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you guys are currently in Division 5, which is, tell me if I'm wrong, Sisseton, Webster, Dual, Watertown, or Huron, you should definitely follow Julia. Or
yes.
if you just like Julia, you can follow her as well.
I agree with that. And follow Renee, of course. You got to plug everyone.
Yeah, if you're also in Division 7B, which is kind of like half of the Twin Cities, you'll probably know what you're in, but definitely follow Renee as well. All right. So continue here. All right, so before we begin this presentation, I wanted to start off with a quote from our immediate past international president, Alex Dreyhos. So he said, "If a global pandemic has taught us anything, the best thing we can do as key clubbers is support those around us." And so I think that these words ring very true. And when I read this quote, I was just kind of like, yes, because I think it's so true. Like, we as key clubbers, by participating and like volunteering within our communities, that acts directly as if you're supporting your community. And so that's kind of just like the main purpose of a general member. You're there for support, you're there to get involved, and I thought that really rang true.
So this is today's agenda. Zhenya is going to go over some of the basics of Key Club and kind of talk about what is international really all about and break down kind of the levels of Key Club, as there are many different moving parts. I'm going to go over some member duties. I have been a general member longer than Zhenya, so I kind of have a better reference point. I have been a general member since the beginning of my freshman year, and I still am active in my home Key Club as a general member. So I can kind of talk about that standpoint. Then we're going to go over some tips and tricks and how to succeed and thrive as a member and be an active member, not a passive member, which we'll discuss later. And then of course, we're going to jump into a Q&A where you guys, it's just open field for you guys to ask us any questions that you might have related to the presentation or not.
Yeah, and at the end, stay tuned for a Kahoot.
Yep.
We love Kahoots up in here.
We do.
All right, so first I'm going to go through some basics of Key Club International. So this is information that every Key Club general member ought to know. And unfortunately, I feel like the communication from like international to district to division to club, it's not really there. So I often find that clubs don't even really know that there's like a district level of Key Club. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, this is a club. Like, it's just like But no, there are a lot of levels to it. So we will get into that right here. So we're going to start off with a brief history of Key Club. So Key Club, or International as an organization, it was founded in 1925 by two Kiwanis Club members / high school teachers who were wanting to create a junior Kiwanis for their students. And it was in Sacramento, California. So the story behind this is Kiwanis. If you've heard of the Kiwanis family, Kiwanis is like, it's like Key Club for adults. So they were the first branch of the Kiwanis family that started, hence the name Kiwanis family. And so they really saw potential in their high schoolers because they kind of wanted to pass on the same ideals of like service and like caring for your community down to those students. And so they decided to start it in their, their hometown of Sacramento, California, and it's blossomed into what it is today. A little fun fact about this. So California today, it's known as like, CNH, so California, Nevada, Hawaii, that's the district. So back in the day, before 1977, Key Club was exclusive to men, unfortunately. Women were let into Key Club in 1977, and it was 10 years before Kiwanis itself did. So, I mean, that's something, but I mean, it was still, far too long of a time. I wish it was earlier, but so it was like all men at first for this like junior Kiwanis Key Club. And so women actually started their own version of Key Club, but they were like the Kiwins. And so today those two are still separate districts. So there's the CNH district and there's CNH Kiwins, but it's not like exclusive to gender anymore. It's anybody can join either one depending on which one their club has or their school has. So kind of fun fact for you guys. Yeah, the governors for both of those districts are very fun, so I love them. All right, the first ever district that was chartered is Florida, and that was in 1939. So there are 33 districts of Key Club that exist worldwide. Most of them are in North America, but we do have some international ones. Taiwan is really close to building a district, but we have some in like, Eastern Canada, Jamaica. I believe there's one in Turks and Caicos. So yeah, it's very, very fun. It's just kind of like a grouping of a bunch of clubs. So yeah, the first district was Florida. And then the first club outside of the US and Canada, so our first really like international, like overseas club was chartered in Nassau, the Bahamas, and that was in 1967. A brief history of MinnDak. So there's not a lot of history that I was able to pull up when researching about this. So our Kiwanis Family Committee is currently making a MinnDak Minute. So it has a bunch of information about our district in the past. But from what I found, here's what I found. So our district was founded in 1958. And so that's actually the 100-year anniversary of Minnesota becoming a state. And so once Superior, so like the Superior part of Wisconsin, kind of the one that's like on Lake Superior, it was once a part of our district, but it unfortunately kind of folded under, I think it was like 5 years ago. So now it just consists of Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So we're kind of this tri-state area. That is MinnDak. Today, we have around 55 active clubs in all 3 states and more than 1,600 paid members. So like I was saying, it's a lot bigger than just your club level. And then our mascot is Milford the Duck. So you guys saw him at opening session, but I have him right here with me. So here is Milford the Duck. He kind of just lives with the governor for the year. So I've had him since March, and he is currently in his little Kiwanis car that I got at our summer board meeting. So yeah. All right, so the structure of Key Club International. This is important to remember. It resembles an inverted triangle, and that is because like club members, they are both the base, but also like the most important part of Key Club International, because without club members, we wouldn't have all of this. So starting from the bottom, like I said, the base is your club officers, your club advisors, and your general members. So you guys make up the foundation and the basis of Key Club. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible to have things like the I Council or like divisional LTG. So you are very, very important. And then a bit above that, we have divisional LTGs. And so that consists of, like in our district, we have 11 LTGs, and those are sections of the district. I'm not really entirely sure how they're arranged, but like Julia here, as she was saying, she's the LTG for Division 5. So that's kind of like the whole eastern half of South Dakota. It just kind of depends on the number of clubs, because I think we have like 5 in that area. So yeah, and then Renee over here, she has like half of the Twin Cities. So yeah, it kind of depends. So yeah, every divisional LTG serves the division that they're presiding over. So they give them communication, all of that such stuff. And above that, we have the district board. So as I was saying, the district board is comprised of our 11 divisional LTGs, but it can differ from district to district. Like I think New York has like 38 LTGs. So again, it depends on size. It is a lot, yeah. And we have our 4 executives on the district board, and then plus our admin team, which is composed of like Kyle and Lola, as you guys probably saw on the slide before. And then a bit above that, we have the I Council, but actually I'm gonna go back down here. The district board is the one that's responsible for like presiding over the whole district, making sure that key clubs are operating well and everything is just kind of going according to plan. They plan all the district events, all that jazz. All right, going back up to I Council. The I Council is comprised of all 33 district governors and the international board. And the international board is comprised of the international vice president, international president, and 11 international trustees. Trustees are basically LTGs, except they are, instead of like liaising between the district board and clubs, they liaise between the international board and districts. So each trustee has 3 districts that they're assigned every year to look after. And this year, our district, as it's known, like our sister districts, are Southwest, which is Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Texas, just El Paso, and Kansas. So it's pretty fun. It's kind of like a diagonal type beat. But yeah, so the I Council is comprised of the international board and the governors, and they just kind of, you know, work through stuff, figure out policy, all that such stuff. Leaders of today. So these are the people that most influence MinnDak. So obviously, number 1 is the international president, Salma El Deeb. She comes from the Florida district. So whatever she says goes, you know, she's the big boss lady of the whole operation. So she'll like make events, and then she'll coordinate with Kiwanis International staff to just like put out certain initiatives. She'll choose different partners. And so again, she kind of just runs the whole thing. So we really follow what she does. And then is our international vice president, Melanie Kim, who comes from the Georgia district. So not too far away from each other, but she is in charge of helping Salma with whatever she needs, whether it be like help sending out like a sheet or like, you know, taking minutes, or like she's just kind of there as Salma's support person. But she also often sends out like updates and things that we need to follow as governors and district boards and districts. Next is our international trustee, Natasha Srestha, and she is from the Illinois Eastern Iowa district. You probably saw her in our opening session, and so she had the video, you know, where she was talking about fall rally. And like I said, she presides over us, Kansas, and then Southwest. So our district name is Swandak. So we do have an Instagram, actually. You'll find that a lot of people have Instagrams. So I'm going to drop it down in the chat if you guys wanted to follow it. It's just Swandak on Instagram. You can stay tuned for district updates. And last but not least is myself. So the district governor, which is me this year, they're responsible for kind of like leading the board and making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So like I lead at district board meetings every month. I have check-ins with board members. I'm kind of like a mom, I guess. Like I'm just always checking up on everyone, being like, did you do this? Or, like, do you need help? Like, yeah, that's what I do.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
She's a very good mother.
Yeah, she's a great mom. She takes care of us.
I appreciate it. All right, anyhow, so we'll move on to the impact of Key Club. So Key Club, all over the world, we have about 230,000 members around the globe. So that is a lot of members, as you can see. We have over 5,000 clubs in 38 countries, although I believe there were clubs chartered in 2 other countries. So it's like 40 countries. And then millions of service hours a year. And then the biggest impact of Key Club is just making a difference. All right, picture break. So here's a picture from the 2021 Summer Leadership Conference in Orlando, Florida that I was talking about with that picture of myself. So again, I was able to attend this conference with our district secretary, Lila, and then our district editor, Drew. So we had a fun time in Florida learning about, well, we got to elect the international board for this year. We also got to attend a bunch of fun roundtables, which is where I got the idea for how to get a date from. Yeah, it was a really fun time. And I just want to mention that this is an opportunity that's available to every single general member. If you wanted to go to the international convention, there is one happening this summer. It's in Washington, D.C. That's in July. There's going to be more information about it soon, but it's a very, very great opportunity if you were interested.
So now I'm going to go over some general member duties and just kind of what that actually means. So here's the kind of overall diagram of what it actually means to be a general member. So first you're going to get involved, and that's on both the district and the club level. We'll go into all of these, or I'll go into all of these and what they mean in a little more detail in the next slide. And then you're also volunteering. Obviously, the reason that we're here is to volunteer and serve our community. And then making sure that you are paying your key club dues, both district and international, is really important, and we'll go over why. So first, get involved. As I kind of talked about in the beginning, being an active, not a passive member. So make sure that you are interacting with your club officers, you're interacting with your district LTGs, and you're, reposting our Instagrams and stuff like that, and just checking out our Instagrams and making sure you're seeing all of our posts and all of our email communications. So being active and being a member that goes above and beyond and wants to do the best, that's what Key Club is all about. And then make sure you're attending our district events like fall rally and stuff like this. It's all super fun. And, we do put a lot of effort and energy into all of these events to make sure that you guys can enjoy them. And we hope you do, of course. But yeah, these are really fun ways to get involved. And these kind of events will help you get volunteer ideas too. And it might encourage some of you to apply to be a district board member in the coming years. Another important thing is to pay your dues. So dues are a membership fee that must be paid by all Key Clubbers to be an official member. So if your school does give out like a little certificate or a letter for getting X amount of hours in your Key Club, in order to actually get that certificate, you have to pay your dues. This year, there's $7 for our international dues and $5.50 for the district dues, bringing it to $12.50 total. And that's just on the international and district level. Your individual school club can add on an additional activity fee as they see fit if they are hosting events and stuff and like bringing snacks to meetings. Of course, what Key Club is all about, volunteering. Community service is the heart of Key Club, so get out there and serve. Most clubs require 50 hours to letter or achieve some sort of award. I did the math last night, and if you're thinking that, if you consider that summer is 3 months long, that means that you are in school for 40 weeks out of the year. So that breaks down to about an hour and a half of community service work a week. I personally think that's very feasible, especially if some weeks there's a big event on a weekend or something and you can get like 8 hours at once. But just doing your best to get out and get involved and do things that you're passionate about. Of course, any volunteer work is important, but finding things that you're passionate about and that could potentially bring you like networking opportunities for a job you're interested in. Like I volunteer at a hospital and have gotten job shadows from volunteering at that hospital. So that's a really easy way to get involved and do something really good for your community. We're both going to go over some tips and tricks, some things you should and shouldn't do as general members.
Yeah, so if you are kind of feeling lost or anything, this is a fun checklist. So you can take a picture of this, but this is a checklist of what you should do as a general member and what you shouldn't do as a general member. So I'll go over what you should do. One, you should definitely keep track of your volunteering hours. So every club does it differently. You might just have to like submit your hours through a form or kind of keep track of it on like a paper. Whatever you have to do, just make sure that you know the amount of hours that you have, because this is very critical. Like if you are planning on like getting those 50 hours to letter, just making sure that you're staying on track with it. And then attending club bonding events is something you should definitely do. Again, it differs club by club, but usually clubs will put on some sort of like club night where people can go and like hang out. Like I know my club did a bowling night a few years ago. So your officers put a lot of like work into planning these events. So it's just very important to attend them and make sure that you're supporting them. And, it just kind of shows your interest in, the club and that you're putting in that extra effort. So it might even help you like, I don't know, get an officer position next year if you really wanted to. Then it's to pay attention. We'll go over this in like the what you shouldn't do. But I often find that sometimes in meetings, there'll be people at the back of the room kind of just not paying attention, chatting with their friends. Again, your officers put a lot of thought into making the presentations and content for your meetings. So it's just very important that you pay attention to them. Next is making a plan to achieve your goals for the year. So like I said, if you are planning on lettering, then you might think like, oh, well, I might need to get like 6.5 hours every month to make that mark. Whatever it needs to be, just like know what you have to do and just kind of execute that plan. And then last is to be proactive. So if you, let's say there's a volunteering event happening on Saturday and you know that you might be busy, I would just say don't sign up for that event, because in the event that you are busy and you have signed up but you can't go to it, then you're kind of letting those people down because they're counting on you to come and volunteer. So yeah, just kind of keep in mind, be proactive in that way.
So some things you shouldn't do is don't strive to not do your best. As key clubbers, we want to make sure that, we're presenting the best image of ourselves, because not only do you represent for me, I represent my Eden Prairie Key Club, but you also represent your district at events. And we want to give people that, nice image of Key Club. And to like, if you're interviewing, people can be like, oh, you're in Key Club, like you're an active member in the community and stuff like that. We want to keep that reputation. As we talked about before, don't be a passive member, get involved. Reach out to some people, send some DMs. Don't be afraid to try new things. I understand that stepping out of your comfort zone is not everyone's favorite thing, but you can't grow without change. So make sure that you're trying new things, especially in a volunteer setting. It's always very open and, no one really knows what they're doing there. So just trying new things to help out your community is a super cool way to get involved and to learn about different cultures and meet different people. As Zhenya talked about, your officers put a lot of work into your meetings. So don't be disrespectful in your meetings. If you're not interested, okay, that's up to you, but don't sit there and talk to your friends and be loud and obnoxious, because your officers have put time, effort, and money into those meetings, and to make sure that you are getting everything out of those that you can. And most officers are disposable at any time. So they're really doing a lot for this organization. So just put that same energy and effort back in. Don't ignore club and district communications. You most likely, as a general member, will be receiving a ton of district communications because we speak more to the officers of your clubs. But if you do, don't ignore it, check it out. A lot of times we'll put in like, the only reason I got this position is because I happened to get an email from Key Club International and I saw that and I didn't ignore it and I applied and here we are. So don't ignore things like that, because they can bring really cool opportunities like this. And then of course your club, whether they're sending emails, communicating on Schoology, GroupMe, make sure you're paying attention to that. And if they say response required or something in their email, make sure you're sending them a quick response. It's super easy on your part and tells your officers that you're involved and are being an active member.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to open the floor for a brief Q&A. So feel free to ask us any questions you might have. Do you guys have anything popping out at you right now that you need answered? No question is a bad question.
No.
No questions right now?
I don't have any right now, but thank you.
Of course. If you guys have any later, of course, just feel free to jump in. If you guys don't have any pressing questions right now, we are going to play a little Kahoot.
Yeah, but really quickly, I wanted to touch on some resources that are available for you guys. So if you wanted some resources for a year as a general member, you can check out these 5 things. So I will just open these one by one. the first here is the service directory. So this is on the Key Club International website. And so there's a service directory. You can add any service projects. You can kind of go through this directory. You can submit a project. You can sort it by difficulty level, budget, or project type. So it's very useful if you're ever looking for that type of thing.
It looks like we do have one question from Mahamud. So what if service hours are in different organizations? That is totally okay. We want you guys to be volunteering with multiple different organizations. And that's kind of what we talked about keeping track of your hours. You can have a million hours from a million different organizations. That's actually awesome. But just making sure you're keeping track of the hours that you were with an organization, the dates you were there, and kind of what your duties were. I know for my club, they asked for a brief description of what you actually volunteered for. So just making sure you're keeping track of all those separate organizations and the dates and times you were there for. But other than that, there's no issue. We love to see variety in your hours.
Yeah, and I know, for example, some organizations won't let you cross your hours. So for example, I'm in like Mayo Honor Society, and I know the hours that I get for Mayo Honor Society, I can't intertwine with Key Club. So if that's what you're asking, then yes, what Julia was saying, definitely just keep track of like where you're putting those hours, because you might not be able to like cross them.
Yep, we're going to go over that. That's actually our fourth bullet point, and there's a really good resource there that we will get to in a couple of minutes here once we work through some of the other links. Great questions.
Yeah, sure. So tips and tricks for recruiting people. I would say just like, if you're in a club, I think having a social media account for your club is very important, just because like a lot of teenagers nowadays, they do use like social media, Instagram. So if you started a club Instagram and you posted announcements on there like, hey guys, interest meeting here, or like you follow a bunch of people from your school, that might help you to get more members or like people that are interested in your club. And then also you ought to try making meetings fun. So nobody wants to sit through a meeting where you're being talked at. So you're just incorporating like into your meeting some like icebreakers, or like I was saying, those like club bonding events. I think that might really help to increase like your membership and then retain those members. Does that make sense?
My school also too, they always have snacks at the end, which is always an incentive for people to come. And then this is kind of just my club is very large, so it's a little different than some of the other schools. We have like 500 members or something insane. But we always have snacks at the end of our meetings, and then they also make the meetings relatively short, and they give you an hour of volunteering if you go to the meeting. So there is incentive to go and to hear about the meeting. And then they also make everything, this is more for member retention, they make everything user friendly, and they put all of their resources in our Schoology page. So having one kind of generalized location for information is a good way to keep members as well. I do not go to Mayo. Zhenya does.
Yeah, I go to Mayo. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll come back to the tracking hours in a second here, but I'm going to run through these really quick. So we also have the member handbook. So if you guys needed like to look through and like see what International has to say about being a general member, you can click right here, and then we'll have this presentation available for you at the end. We'll send it out. But yeah, it's just on this website. You can download it as a PDF and find it right there. I'm going to head back to this presentation.
And just to be clear, the links she's been clicking on are on the Key Club International website, not our personal one.
Yes.
But one of the links is in our personal one. But right now, yeah, right here.
Yeah. So this right here, I'm going to close out all my tabs. So this is on our website. This is some Key Club vocabulary. These are some terms that all Key Clubbers ought to know. So if somebody was talking about like PCMs, you can be like, what is that? You go here and you can be like, oh, it stands for Presidential Council Meeting. And yeah. And then now down here, as Julia was saying, our fourth bullet point is keeping track of volunteer hours. So I have a Google Doc that I use, which is called like my service log. So like after every volunteering thing, I write down what the event was, how many hours I got for it, and what I'm using it for. You can do really whatever. There is this online like volunteer hour tracker. I believe It's volunteerhub.com. I believe it's free. So if you needed a way to like log your hours, you can always just look right here and just use this website. That might work out for you. Julia, how do you keep track of your hours?
I like to write things down. And my school actually provides us printout logs that we can turn in at the end of the year, and it's like an official Key Club sheet. So I just kind of keep that in my cart and write stuff down there. But then I also I have everything in my Google Calendar. So if I do need to go back and look at something, I have, a detailed description of what I did, the location of where it was and what it was for and everything just in my phone logged. I'm a little less organized for my volunteer hours because mine are really just from one location. So I don't have to really jump back and forth through locations. It's more just keeping track of dates and times.
Yeah. All right. And this last one is a much needed reminder. I had some fun on Giphy the other day. And I found this GIF. So it's old, but it rings true. It's Miss Kris Jenner saying, "You're doing amazing, sweetie." I put this quote just because we're still living through a pandemic. It's still sometimes hard to find volunteer opportunities, and going back to school in person is just kind of rough. But I just want to let you guys know, remind you, you guys are doing amazing. So just keep up the great work.